fractional ownership tokens, or you could do something like take a building that had different condos and have an NFT represent each of those individual condos and do an asset sale for those individual condos with a digital twin representation of what it is.
People think if we're going to do digital asset tokenization or securities tokenization, that everything is going to be resolved immediately, right? So we're going to start trading 24/7. That's not going to happen, right? So we're going to kind of get our all our securities on our MetaMask wallet. That's not going to happen, right? So there is a huge sense of regulation and compliance that goes along with these traditional industries. And while fintech innovators think they have found the solution to some of the major problems by kind of applying technology, sometimes that gets put on hold for a long time, and a lot of calls with lawyers are happening just to make sure that things done in a compliant way. Because if you're not, the government will come after you, right? So there's no question about that. And people are going now to jail because of the ICO craze and selling unregistered securities. And while legislation is not up to par with all of these new ideas, it still applies.
Assuming that you have a security, you're safest, going through and dealing with everything in a fully regulated way. But at the end of the day, the dream of this is that we're going to have a democratization of the way that finance works, and we already saw that start as a trend with crowdfunding. The crowdfunding rules, loosen things up so that you could actually directly market investments to smaller and less wealthy individuals, and that's a step towards the right thing. But at the end of the day, I do think you're going to have some level of centralization and trust, and you're going to have seasoned, respected people doing your compliance, doing your running these things. And in the UK, for example, you can go to jail for not complying in the right way.
I think one thing that I think goes overlooked when tokenizing assets is you have to have one centralized governing body, kind of hitting on the last question. Somebody has to be the one to certify the assets. Somebody has to be the one to be able to return the assets if they get stolen. If somebody loses their keys, somebody has to be the one to kind of have provenance over those assets. I think that is probably the biggest hurdle. I mean, if we go back to the house example earlier, what if that person interacts with a malicious contract and somebody shows up to their house and say, hey, I have the NFT in my wallet, it's my house now. So I think stuff like that is a little bit overlooked, that you need to have some centralized body that is in control of a lot of these digitalized assets.
Yeah, and if we can build upon that, right? So the regulatory aspect is, it's uncertain, but there are rules, and so we've seen the companies that are successful, or companies that come from the industry of securities, that are registered broker dealers that run ATSs, all these compliance organizations that exist today, and taking a big step forward to say, how can we make our industry more resilient, more flexible, and running at a lower cost and still be compliant. So I think that's kind of where we see the success. We see the success today. A couple of examples are organizations like Deutsche Börse, so the German stock exchange. They put a tokenized bond together and basically settled that with another on a blockchain with another blockchain that's running CDBC, central bank digital currency. So think about kind of where this is all going is that we're going to have interaction between multiple ledgers, and these ledgers need to trust each other, and bridges need to be built without kind of hackers kind of stealing the lunch and the assets